how does self-love and being in a relationship play into each other? That's what we want to talk about in this video. You've probably heard more than once, you have to love yourself first before you can love someone else. And in a way, I believe that's true, but there's also some aspects to it that are very dogmatic and that I would like to talk about as well. I would love to hear first, what is your experience around self-love?
So I know I was frustrated for years because I was like, well, what does it even mean, like self-love, and how do you love yourself, and if I have to love myself first before someone else loves me, like I don't even know how to do that, and what that looks like. And so it frustrated me for a lot of years because I didn't really understand it. And what I've realized now is that for me, self-love and just love in general is emotional safety. And so the self-love component is creating emotional safety for all parts of myself, for all emotions that arise, for all of my darkness or the things that I don't like about myself. And so it's reaching, like, I feel like for me with you, to get to the place where I was able to even like receive the love that you give and be an emotionally safe space for you, I needed to be emotionally safe for me, which is self-love. And so that's kind of what I've recently realized. It's not about like taking bubble baths. I mean, it can be, and there's a certain aspect of like choosing what feels good to your body instead of choosing to engage with people who aren't showing up, or choosing to punish yourself with your own thoughts and beliefs. So there's an aspect of like, you know, physically loving yourself and taking care of your body and giving yourself bubble baths and doing what you enjoy. But then there's like an emotional component of safety that is, I feel like, the foundation of self-love and also of a loving relationship.
Yeah, I love that. So basically, that's the way I see it too. Like, that self-love has at least two components: the self-nourishment and self-care in a way. Doing nice things that your body likes and all that. And on the other hand, self-acceptance. Getting to know myself deeply, emotionally, and accepting what people might call darkness or shadow, you know, the uncomfort of, or the discomfort of sadness, of anger, of fear,
Shame.
and shame, to bring these parts of myself back home, back into myself, and learn to look at them with compassion and with full acceptance. And something that I believe is that every relationship is reflecting back to me the level of self-love I have already established.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I go, quote unquote, to the cave when I'm single and find myself even more, integrate the relationship that I had before, all the relationships I had before, bring that all back. Like, what did I learn from this person, from that person? Who am I in all this, and how can I love that person that I decided to be in this life even more? And then from that space of acceptance, meeting someone with the same energy. And now the part that I really want to highlight is that you can get stuck in the cave. Ultimately, it's a game of back and forth. So me loving myself enables me to show up with more love in a relationship. And then my partner, if she or he is in the same level, can show me more ways of how I am lovable through the interaction, which then inspires me to love myself even more.
Yes, and speaking to that, getting stuck in the cave, like, yes, there's a certain amount of healing work you can do alone and self-love work you can do alone, but then at a certain point, you get to the limits of your capacity to see yourself, and you need the other reflection for like the deepest wounding, shame, pain to come up that's triggered by them. It's not that they're doing things to you to hurt you. It's that all that shit's in you, and unless you're in like a very close, intimate relationship, it's probably not going to come up, because if you're by yourself, it's easier to protect and kind of like keep those things buried. But when I've gone through multiple periods of celibacy, like 3 years and then 2 years, and I remember after my first period of celibacy, I thought by stopping having relationships and having sex that I was gonna completely heal. And I was very, like, I was doing all the yoga and the meditation and all the spiritual work. And then when I got back into a relationship with the father of my daughters, all of that same shit was still there, because it was relational shit, not just the work that I'd been doing. So it was kind of separate, and I was so angry that once I'd been single for 3 years and then I got back into a relationship, that like all of the same fears of speaking my truth, all the same fears of being vulnerable, they were still there, because I needed to move through those fears in partnership.
Yeah, so the reflection of love in a partner, like I love what you just said. So the inspiration in terms of how do you love something that I used to be ashamed of more, so I learned to love that in myself, and beyond that bringing up other things that I wasn't even aware of. Because again, the emotional safety that we've created with each other over a couple of months now is enabling me to be vulnerable and to drop into a space where I can bring more to the surface than if I would be with myself. And then that enables me also, let's say when I'm going back to the cave, I don't have to like break up to do that, but I can take moments within the relationship where I step out or back to myself, where I'm taking space. I go under my favorite tree and I just sit and I integrate and I feel through it. So to round it up for today, yes, self-love is important
Yes.
before connecting with someone. So if you come from a place of neediness and I need love, I need someone to love me,
Validation.
and for validation, that's probably gonna backfire, because then you're creating a codependency from the start.
And you're not loving them, you're trying to extract validation from them, like
That's
at a
right.
very subtle subconscious level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically the moment when you think, I got it, I really love myself, I accept myself, and I will only say yes to a person that reflects that same thing back to me, that's probably a good moment. And then be prepared to be challenged, be prepared to be expanded within that relationship, and to learn more about yourself and about how you can love yourself on the other side of that whole game.
Yeah, and for your deepest fears, insecurities, shames, woundings to come up, not because the other person is doing something to you, but because all of that stuff is in you and can only really fully arise in the context of this mirror.
Love it. Thank you guys, much love.